Hi and welcome to Aiken Adventures.
We're taking you to do all the best things and all the best places all around Florida.
And today we're taking you to the Edison-Ford Winter Estates in Fort Myers, Florida. The Edison-Ford Estates are located in Fort Myers, Florida. This property encompasses more than 20 acres of land and were the winter homes of Thomas Edison and Henry Ford. Thomas Edison moved here first in 1885. The first stop on our trip is Thomas Edison's study. Originally, there was a laboratory that was standing here, but Henry Ford convinced Edison to allow him to remove the laboratory to add to his collection in Greenfield Village at Dearborn, Michigan. What remains is now a study where Thomas Edison would have spent a lot of his time. Just behind the study is one of Mina Edison's favorite places on the property, the Moonlight Garden. She was actually a member of a lot of gardening clubs and frequently used this space to entertain. And right over here is the caretaker's home. So probably my favorite thing this far on the tour is that right behind me is the garage where Edison kept all the cars that Henry Ford gave to him as gifts. But Edison didn't like to drive. In fact, apparently his son said that he was a really bad driver. But even though he didn't use the cars, he continually upgraded them year after year. Next up on the tour is the pool complex. Apparently, Mina wasn't really a fan of the fact that Henry Ford took the laboratory up to Michigan. So this was Henry Ford's way of making up to her. He funded this entire thing, and mostly it was used by the grandchildren. But there's a patio in front of it that Mina called her tea room, and on this patio is where she would entertain many of her friends. And this was the first residential pool in all of Fort Myers. Our next stop, of course, are the two homes. They were actually purchased as a kit and then assembled together, including all of the furniture as well. The two homes are actually mirrored replicas of one another. The main house is Edison's home. And then the second home is actually the guest home where Henry Ford and some of Thomas Edison's other friends would sometimes stay. Some other guests would include the Colgates of toothpaste fame and Herbert Hoover. On the first floor of this home is the sitting room. A prominent feature of this room is the piano. This piano is Mina's piano, and in spite of all of the elements of the heat and the humidity, it actually still remains playable today. The next room is the dining room. One interesting feature in this room is that Thomas Edison was hard of hearing, and so it was hard for him to enjoy and understand the table conversation. When he would get tired of entertaining, he would just click a button under the table, and some of the staff would come and start clearing off the dishes to sort of move the entertainment along. Henry Ford loved telling jokes and stories, so he would write his jokes down that he would be telling at the dinner table so that Thomas Edison would know them in advance and would be able to laugh along with the conversation. Right out front is what's called the Friendship Walk, and some of the prominent guests would have the opportunity to engrave their names on these stones and then place the stepping stones into the walkway. This is a unique take on the guest book. I have to say though that I don't recognize any of the names. One prominent feature of the property is that there is bamboo located on the property. The significance of this is that this is actually what attracted Edison to the property to begin with. He was looking for an effective filament for his incandescent bulbs. And at one point, bamboo was a part of the experiment. In fact, numerous things about the gardens located around the property are that they were functional. Edison used many of these plants to conduct experiments, especially the stately banyan tree, which is located at the front of the property when you first enter for your tours. This banyan tree was used to experiment with creating rubber. The next stop on the tour is Henry Ford's winter home. And of course, first we pass through the Friendship Gate. In the Ford home, you'll find the living room, the guest bedroom, the dining room, and this home was built a little later than the Edison's winter home. So you'll notice some modern amenities like the bathroom and the kitchen. Here's the maid's bedroom and the secretary's bedroom. Apparently, when Edison finally passed away, there was no reason for Ford to continue to come down, so he sold the home very quickly. It was then purchased by the Bigger family, and they erected this garage. This happens to be where the museum stores its Ford cars.
So fun fact about the pickup truck, the way that it got its name was that the person would order the cab portion, it would come in a box and they would assemble it themselves. Then they had to go pick up the back of it and attach it. So that's why it's called the pickup truck. Another fun fact is that all of these cars still run.
And if you're gonna winter in Florida, of course you need your own citrus orchard.
Imagine being so important that Henry Ford gives you a car for your birthday.
Some of Edison's inventions are scattered around as exhibits all around the museum.
So it turns out that batteries were actually Edison's most profitable product. I, for one, am definitely thankful for batteries.
This exhibit is dedicated to the camping trips that they would take together when they were in the Florida area. This vehicle behind me was basically kind of like their RV. It was hashtag van life before van life was cool. There's a whole bureau built into the back of this vehicle so that they could carry a whole bunch of stuff with them. And in one of the photos, you'll notice that they traveled out with their own piano. And on all these camping trips, they were wearing full-on suits. 3 pieces, no less. Keep in mind that even in the wintertime, it's really not that cold in this part of Florida. You might recall that earlier in the video, I told you that Thomas Edison was hard of hearing. So on the side of this phonograph, you can notice that there are some bite marks. Also, he would hear the vibrations of the music. This vehicle was built with an organ in the back that could be heard from 12 miles away. They would load it onto riverboats and play it, or use it in circuses. Of course, you've got to stop by for the Phonograph Show.
Promising you 4 demos. Demo number 1, right here. Volume control, look here now. If you wish, you look for number 4, and then you find it, you activate this little crank. Next thing you do is you wind up. You have to deposit a nickel, and you have a jukebox.
And finally, from the museum, we're heading into the lab. The first room we come to is the front office. And this, of course, is where they would receive correspondence and plant samples. And then this space is the lab. There's a chemical processing area and a machine shop. Over here in the corner is a dark room. And if you'd like to know even more great things that you can do when you visit Fort Myers, Florida, then click this video right here.
We want to give a special thanks to Brianna, our tour guide for today.
And we want to thank the Ford Edison Estates for hosting us for this video.